Aggie and I have been thinking about the Charlie Kirk assassination as our Reichstag moment. We want to explain what we mean by that. We need to be careful, though, because we do not want to call Trump and his henchmen Nazis. They are entitled to their own original derogatory names. Nor do we mean to suggest that history follows strictly determined pathways. Nevertheless, patterns emerge in history, and we think we are seeing one. On Monday, February 27, 1933, Adolf Hitler had been Chancellor of Germany for about a month. His office was similar to Prime Minister in Great Britain. At that time, the Nazi Party was bitterly fighting the Communist Party for control of the national legislature, which was housed in a building in Berlin called the Reichstag. Hitler did not then have the immense power that he later gained. On that day in 1933, the Reichstag building caught fire and burned. A communist named Marinus van der Lubbe had set the fire, but there is no evidence that anybody else was involved. Hitler blamed the Reichstag fire on all the communists and induced the president of Germany to issue a so-called fire decree. This executive order suppressed civil liberties and empowered Hitler to arrest communists, including all of the communist members of the Reichstag. This crippled the communists and led to Hitler's rapid rise to power. It is critical to note that it made no difference to Hitler whether the arsonist had in fact acted alone or not. Whatever the truth, Hitler blamed the Communist Party and proceeded to destroy it in Germany. Beginning in March of 1933, Hitler imprisoned communists and other political adversaries in Dachau concentration camp near Munich. The rest of the story followed. Trump and his followers are blaming leftists, liberals, or Democrats, using those terms interchangeably, for assassinating Charlie Kirk. It makes absolutely no difference that the assassin seems to have acted alone. It makes absolutely no difference that there is no evidence that the assassin was a member of the Democratic Party. The assassination is an excuse for Republicans to strike out at Trump's political adversaries. Citizens who merely exercise their freedom to speak have been blacklisted. Large corporations wilt under Trump's malevolent chest-thumping. The last thing liberals or Democrats would want is to create a right-wing martyr. Your average Democrat simply does not think about committing political violence. We admit that your average Republican doesn't think about it either. No typical Republican would give some fellow a hammer and tell him to bash in Nancy Pelosi's head, and if he can't find Nancy, then bash in her husband's head. Both sides, including us, use heated rhetoric, but rhetoric is speech, not violence. The people who commit the actual violence seem to have something else going on. More likely than not, they have spent a lot of time on the internet going down some rabbit hole where everybody acts angry and hateful. They get the idea that acting angry and hateful is praiseworthy behavior. They slip out of the real world and inhabit some internet-induced fantasy world. QAnon, for example, seems to induce an unreal delusion in which adherents sometimes act out violently in the real world. Here are some ideas to toss into the hopper in reaction to this rabbit hole lunacy. Prohibit cell phones in schools. Outlaw possession of assault weapons. Reverse social media algorithms to decelerate violent and hateful content. Arrest foreign provocateurs stoking violence into the internet. What do we do about Trump's huffing and puffing? Remember that we are not all cowardly corporations and pliable tycoons. Resist. When it comes time to protest "No Kings Here," do your part, whatever that may be. The end result in this country will depend upon the people, not the corporations.